Welcome to City on a Hill Kids Church Online.
I'm Lola.
And I'm Jimmy.
Today we're going to be talking about a man named Apollos. That is another person from the Acts of the Apostles.
But that will be after a time of worship.
Some days we are up, some days we are down. Just trust God and be humble and you will gain a crown. Always be open and listen to others, helping others whether big or small. Let God guide you in your life and get ready for His big call. Some days we are up, some days we are down. Just trust God and be humble and you will gain a crown. Some days we are up, some days we are down. Just trust God and be humble and you will gain a crown. Always be open and listen to others, helping others whether big or small. Let God guide you in your life and get ready for His big call. Some days we are up, some days we are down. Just trust God and be humble and you will gain a crown.
Today, we're going to be talking about another person from the New Testament, and his name is Apollos. Apollos was an Egyptian Jewish Christian. He was born in Egypt to Jewish parents, but he was a Christian. Now, Apollos traveled all the way from where he was born in Egypt, in a place called Alexandria, to Ephesus. Now, this is like traveling from Edinburgh all the way to, let's say, Lisbon in Portugal. That is far. While in Ephesus, he went to the synagogue. Now, the synagogue is a place where the Jewish people meet to pray, to worship God, to read and study the Bible. So that's where he went to while in Ephesus. While there, he said a lot, he spoke a lot about Jesus, teaching people about Jesus from the Bible. In those days, it is only the Old Testament of the Bible that they had. And Apollos was able to speak to people about Jesus from the Old Testament. Now, Apollos knew a lot about Jewish customs, about the scriptures, and he was a good speaker. He would be able to speak to people in such a way that everyone listening to him would be able to understand what he was speaking about. I bet you're wondering, what's so fascinating or what's so important about him knowing about Jewish culture? He's a Jew, right? Well, yes. He's of Jewish heritage. His parents were Jews. But he was born in Egypt, and it didn't really mean that he would know much about the Jewish culture, because where he was born was a Roman colony. So they would do things like Romans. It's like maybe your parents come from Nigeria or from Ghana or from the Philippines or from even France or Italy. And you live, let's say, in Portugal. You're born and brought up in Portugal. It's a possibility that your parents never spoke to you in their language and may not have passed on many of their ways to you. So all you would really know is the Portuguese language and the way the Portuguese behave. And you would know it well. So that is why it was a bit fascinating or a bit important that Apollos knew Jewish culture. Now back to our story. A husband and wife couple heard Apollos while he was speaking in the synagogue. They heard him speak accurately about things about Jesus Christ. But he missed out a very important thing. So they called him aside and asked him if he knew anything about it. And he didn't. And what was it that he didn't know anything about? It was the baptism that Jesus Christ taught his disciples. And Apollos, who was very intelligent, he knew a lot, and he was gifted in being able to speak to people for them to understand, agreed to be taught what this husband and wife couple had to teach him. So he was humble enough to be taught. He accepted this. And then from Ephesus, he moved on to Greece, where he helped other people, teaching people about Jesus Christ and the gospel. It's good to have a humble and teachable spirit. You can read more about Apollos in the Acts of the Apostles and a few other books in the New Testament. And that's the end of the story.
Hello everybody, how are you? I like the story of Apollos because I like that he was always ready to learn new things. It's great to learn new things about God, but also about all kinds of other topics. So I thought today I'd show you how to make these little notebooks that you can use to write down new things that you learn on all kinds of topics. I've written one that's called More About God and one that's called God Notes, because obviously here at Kids Church Online we're thinking about learning about God, but you might make them for all kinds of topics. So these are really simple to make, these little notebooks. All you need is a piece of A4 paper, and what you want to do is start by folding it in half this way, so it looks like that, and then you're going to fold it in half this way, so it's like that, and then you're going to fold it in half that way again, so it looks like that. So you folded it once this way and then twice that way. Then you unfold the whole thing and you'll see that you've now got 8 rectangles, and fold it in half again, but this time you're folding it this way, so you've got it with 4 rectangles. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut from this point to the middle. I'll just draw a line so you can see exactly where to do it. So you're going to cut along here, so we'll do that. And now, when you open it up, there'll be this hole in the middle. So if you just put it like this and then squash it together, those 2 points will come out, and suddenly, as you squash it down, ta-da! Here you have a little 4-page notebook, ready to write notes on any topic that you would like. So you can put the title on the front, whatever you're going to make notes about. Now, you'll see on this one, I've done this 3D lettering, and I think that looks good. I think it looks quite official. So I'm just going to show you how to do that if you would like to do 3D lettering as well. So I've written the title, God Notes, out a bit bigger so it's easier to see. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a darker colour. I've got a navy blue here, but you might use black. And what we're going to do is we're going to colour in along the right side and the top of each letter. So we're going to start with an easy one, T, because it's just straight lines. So we colour in along the right and along the top. And look, there's another right edge there. So there we are, there's our T 3D. Let's try it with the E. Now, the E has a lot of right-hand edges, doesn't it? And a lot of top edges, because that's the shape it is. But there we go, it's 3D. Now it's a bit trickier when you have something that's curvy, like this O. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the curve, but we're not going to do that bit there that's underneath, but we're going to go right round here, because this is a top edge and a right-hand edge. And then on here, we need to do the right-hand edge and then go round to the top. So we're not going to do underneath, because that's the bottom edge, but we just need to curve round like that. Do you see? Let's try this D. So let's see, where does the bottom start to become the right-hand edge? I think about here. So we'll go from there round to the top. It's a bit of a judgment where it stops being bottom edge and starts being right-hand edge. And then we'll do this one, that's nice and simple. And then we'll just do this bit a little bit, that edge before it comes that left-hand edge. So you can see how all your letters can start to look 3D, and that's a technique that you might want to use on the front of your little notebook. Now, if you're using A4, you just get a small notebook like this, which I think is really nice actually. If you had a bigger piece of paper, if you had some A3, then you could make a much bigger notebook. Well, I hope you enjoy making notebooks, and I hope you enjoy keeping on learning your whole life. Do you know, you can never get too old to learn more about God. There is always more to learn, but you'll also have lots to learn on all the topics that you're really interested in the rest of your life. So, enjoy making notebooks, enjoy making notes, enjoy learning, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!
Being humble and teachable. I think that's something I need to practice.
Why do you say that?
Well, there are some times I just think I know it all. And when the teaching is finished, I find that I actually learned something new.
Jamie, it's very good that you've noticed this. Apollos was very smart, yet he humbled himself to be taught. I think that's something that we can all learn to do, no matter how much we think we know things. That's it for this week.
Till next time, bye.